Hey family, I want to share something with you. So probably about 3 nights ago, I heard in the spirit, in my spirit, I heard Hannah needs to stand. And it came with a vision and an impression in my spirit that I understood that there was opposition, but that Hannah needed to stand, stand firm, stand strong. And so the next morning I looked at, the meaning of the name Hannah, and it means grace. And you know how I always say that everything's by grace, none of it's deserved, and we walk the same way we're saved by faith through grace. And anyway, so, the Lord knew, He knew. I've been doing a Bible reading plan for quite some time, since kind of early on last year or mid last year. And today I started in 1 Samuel, and it was about Hannah. And wow. So, she was married to a man named Elkanah, and Elkanah had another wife. And this other wife had children. And when they would go up to the temple, once a year to do the sacrifices, the other wife would mock Hannah and give her all kinds of grief because she didn't have any children, basically disparaging her. And Hannah cried out to the Lord, and she was in front of Eli the priest, and even Eli the priest. So she was talking, she was praying, moving her mouth, but she was praying from her heart and not saying it out loud. And he thought she was drunk, and that's interesting because, he accused her of being drunk, but his sons are the ones that were the priests, that were actually the ones that were doing things not pleasing to God and were being drunken and things like that, and eating the meat, taking the meat before it was sacrificed and things like that, and sleeping with the women that came in to the Lord's house. I mean, it was awful, but so he thought she was drunk, and she's like, I'm not drunk, I'm just crying. I have this, she was at the end of herself. She was, I guess, like a misfit, like I've been talking about, someone weak in their flesh. She couldn't produce children. She wanted a child badly. And all she could do was cry out to God in her sorrow and in her despair. She had no strength of her own. And here we've got this other lady over here that in her flesh, she has strength. She's producing children, and she's mocking Hannah because she's not producing. And, probably supposing, I think back then they used to think that someone was, if they can produce, that they weren't blessed of God, they weren't approved of the Lord. And so, anyway, she explained to Eli she wasn't drunk, and he said, may the Lord grant your prayer. And interesting, because she said, Lord, if you'll give me a child, he'll be yours. I'll give him to you. And the works, we come to the end of our own righteousness, and we have to rely entirely on the Lord to produce. Okay? And when he does, it's all his work. It's all his. And it's not like we're expecting anything for it, because we know it's all by grace through faith. And any good work he produces in us is his anyway. And I mean, this just really touched me because I saw this story, and I've read this story before. It's been a little while, but I hadn't seen it quite like this, I hadn't seen it quite like this. And when we stand, when we wear our armor and we stand, us Hannahs that are relying fully on the Lord and just looking to him for our source and for our life and for everything and his grace and mercy, because we don't have anything in our flesh to offer, to bring. When we stand, it's all because of him, and in him, it's all on his promises. Wearing your armor of God is standing on your identity in him because of his work, because of his finished work, not standing in your own strength and your own work. And we don't have any reason to be, We're not going to mock others because they're not producing. We're just going to point them to Christ, and we're going to say, here you go. Lean on him. He's the one that does the work. He's the one that produces fruit. All you can do is just look to him and say, Lord, here I am. I don't have anything to bring. That's about it. Anyway, I hope that blessed you guys. I'm working on the Crown of Glory teaching. I'm probably about halfway done. I'm hoping I can get time at work to finish it today. So I'm a little behind at work, because I missed a couple of days. But anyway, I love you guys. Have a great day.